Good evening, people of St. Elizabeth. Father Daniel here. I've got three things for us tonight. First is over the past few weeks, there have been several communications from the diocese and from Bishop Reed. Some of y'all already get those emails. Some of y'all stay current on the diocesan website, but I realize not everybody is getting all of those communications, and I want to make sure that everyone has access to all the info that I'm seeing that I'm sending to the Bishops Committee. An easy way to get all of that is you can visit the link that's at the bottom of your screen right now. I'm also going to include links to four different important communications in the newsletter that'll go out Friday morning. One of those is a letter from Bishop Reed from early in May outlining a phased reopen for worship in the diocese. Another are the specifics for that phased reopening, including phase 2, which is the phase we will hopefully be entering soon. That has several pages of guidelines and protocols that churches will need to abide by for public worship during the next phase. Another is Bishop Reed's most recent communication of just a couple of days ago. I'll outline that in just a second. And then finally, there's also an update on camps and conference stuff for the summer for Mustang Island, Camp Capers, and for Duncan Park. So again, you can visit the link that's at the bottom of your page or bottom of the screen right now. There'll also be a link going out in this week's newsletter. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and this is basically the content of Bishop Reed's most recent communication, is that a couple days ago, Bishop Reed extended the suspension of public worship in in-person gatherings through Sunday, May 24th. So that means that the week following that would be the first time that congregations have the option of beginning a phased reopening for public worship. Now, I want to be very clear. This is Bishop Reed's permission to do so for a congregation. It is not a mandate that congregations do so. As you can imagine, there's a great deal of variety of the impact of COVID-19 on different congregations in different parts of the diocese. Last week in Hays County, for example, we saw a bit of a spike actually in confirmed new cases. So the bishop is allowing for some variety there in terms of different communities responding as they see fit. The official suspension has been extended through May 24th. However, that does not mean that St. Liz will the following Sunday begin a phase reopen for public worship. As you will see if you peruse the documents that are going out, there's a lot of work to be done between now and whenever a phase 2 would begin. So just to be honest, your operating assumption should be that we are suspended and worshiping only remotely until further notice. There's been lots of different potential deadlines and it keeps getting pushed back. That can be emotionally exhausting. It is for me. I know that it is for you. So just for your own peace of mind, honestly, the best way to think about this right now is that until there's the Thunderbirds again. Until further notice, St. Liz public worship and in-person gatherings are suspended. I'm hopeful that will, in the next few weeks, that will change, but it could be several weeks. We just don't know, and I'm not gonna pretend to know that, or I'm not gonna pretend to have the confidence to be able to set a reopen date when there's just a lot that could change. We're just sort of going a couple weeks at a time right now. When we do begin phase 2 for us, a phased reopen, things are going to be different. There's a lot of guidelines and protocols that we'll need to abide by. I think they're good ones, but that means that we've got some work to do. As I mentioned last week, when we do open for public worship again, we will also continue to provide online worship services because not everybody is going to feel comfortable coming to our physical church plant site. Because that's true, the way we do online worship will need to change as well. It's one thing for me to be in our apartment with my laptop, but if we're actually going to try to bring people at home into participating in a service that's on our physical site, then we need some equipment and some capability at St. Liz that we don't have right now, including better internet and some other gadgets that we're getting to as we get creative with our phase reopening when it does begin. Okay, so that's that's the second thing. The third thing is one of the reasons that we're sending out, that I want to send out all the guidelines from the diocese now, is because we do need to get ready for resuming public worship at some point. The work for that begins now, and it will be different. Part of what that means for us is thinking about how we do volunteer work. As y'all know, at St. Liz, we run on Holy Spirit and volunteers. That's what makes St. Liz happen, and I imagine that will continue to be what makes St. Liz possible as we approach this new period of Phase 2 worship. Because Phase 2 is going to involve a lot of guidelines and protocols that are here to keep us safe, and because we will continue to be, to some extent, in the midst of a pandemic for it looks like quite a while, we need to reshuffle how we do volunteer work. We need to reshuffle our volunteer structure. What I mean by that is a lot of our volunteers in normal circumstances are folks who during the pandemic find themselves in a particularly at-risk demographic. Perhaps they're older, or they have another medical condition of some kind, or normally they're able to volunteer in some way at St. Liz because their kids are in the nursery or are in children's chapel or are in godly play. Whatever Phase 2 looks like at St. Liz, it will not include nursery, children's chapel, or godly play. And that may prevent some of us from volunteering in the way that we normally would. So to reshuffle our volunteer structure, to do that, we need to begin by re-identifying who our volunteer pool actually is. So what I'm asking is for you to self-identify yourself. If you would be comfortable and able to be physically present at St. Liz during this pandemic and either open doors for people, help sanitize things before or after worship, do cleanup, read, you would have to wear a mask, all that kinds of stuff. If you would be comfortable doing that and being amongst our pool of volunteers, I want you to email Wanda, parishadmin@st-liz.org. Again, parishadmin@st-liz.org. For St. Liz to move into Phase 2 and begin reopening public worship, we have to have volunteers. That's who we are. That's not a thing that needs to change, and it's the kind of team that we'll have to have in order to do this well and faithfully. So if you feel like you would be comfortable being part of our Phase 2 pandemic volunteer team, I want you to identify yourself, and please reach out to Wanda, and we'll start building a list of names as we discern what it is we will need in order to begin reopening worship. St. Liz continues to be generous, faithful, and flexible. We have tried all kinds of different things in recent years, and this is another experiment that we're going to try. We're going to have some success, we're going to have some failures, but we're going to continue to love each other and love God, and the risen Lord is going to bring us through this. Is going to bring us through this as well, and continue to give us the gift of His Holy Spirit. All right, that's what I've got for us tonight. Love y'all very much, and I hope to see you soon. God's peace.